CBSE Board, Class 11, History, Chapter 3, Part 28, Audio by Renee Matthew. Is the land that nourished you not sufficient to feed them too? So this is a question posed by the French priest when the Spanish people came to invade in the land. Okay? We have fathers, mothers and children whom we love. But we are certain that after our death, the land that nourished us will also feed them. We therefore rest without further cares. So it was not very easy to stand against the Spanish people, the Spanish conquistadors. So the people, the natives, were very happy with what they had, and they had to easily yield to the power of Spain. The main motto of the Spanish or the Europeans were to establish trade routes. The trade was in timber, which led to fierce battles, especially between Portuguese and French traders, because when they established these trade battles, it was very difficult for them. And now what happened is that it led or created a lot of battles. Of course, the Portuguese won because they decided to settle in or colonize the coast. They were more powerful. In 1534, the King of Portugal divided the coast of Brazil into 14 hereditary captaincies. So he got all the land which was in store for the Spanish also. He got everything. So he divided the coast of Brazil into 14 hereditary captaincies. And to those Portuguese who wanted to live there, what he said is, I will give you land ownership rights. And you can make the local people into slaves. Whatever you do for the country is fine. You just have to convert the natives into slaves and get the work done. And also give much to the wealth and development of the economy. That's all what he wanted. He was not bothered about what happened to the people. Many settlers, many Portuguese settlers were veterans of the wars in Goa, in India, and were brutal to the local people. They were war veterans. They were so skilled in war with their military skills and horsemanship, and they had experience of waging wars in Goa, India and all other places, and they were naturally very brutal to the local people. They were not at all compromising. In the 1540s, the Portuguese began to grow sugarcane on large plantations because now their focus was to increase whatever produce they got in all these lands. They had to, it's not just normal agriculture that had to be carried forth. It had to be mass plantations that they wanted because they can yield the maximum and contribute to the economy and make the economy richer every day. They started building mills to extract sugar, and that was sold in Europe. So large-scale production was going on, and that was later sold in Europe. It was very hot and humid there, and they always depended on the natives to work on the sugar mills because it was very hot, and these Europeans never could accommodate the harshness of the weather. Sometimes the natives also retorted back. They were not happy to work in such conditions where the climate was really unfavorable. The work was very dreary. The mill owners resorted to kidnapping them to work as slaves. So mill owners said that we will kidnap you. Okay, we will kidnap you, and they did that also. So when they kidnapped the people, they had to naturally work as slaves. They had no other option but to succumb to their foes and work on the plantations. And what happened as a result? Of course, the freedom of man is curbed. It is curtailed. So natives started reacting back. And what they did, they started hiding in the forest to escape the grip of the slavers, and time went on. And there were no more native villages in these places because everybody started escaping into the forest. They started settling there on the coast. And they were very large, well laid out European towns only. There were no native villages by this time. And some natives were happy to work with the Europeans, and they also got into this European culture, but in a very bad working condition. Then the plantation owners were forced by the government or by the king to turn to another source for slaves, and that is West Africa. They said, see, West Africa has got a lot of people, black people, so let's make them work in our place. So they started transporting slaves. Just like they had trade over goods, they started having trade over human beings. And that was a contrast to the Spanish colonies. Spanish colonies did not do anything of that sort. Portuguese were the ones who started the slave trade. A large population in the Aztec and Inca empires were used to labor in mines and fields. Brutally, they were treated very badly. No health condition was there, no living condition was there. People were just beaten and brutally made to work from day to night. Suppose they were exhausted, suppose they fainted, they did not even care about it. Even if they died, they were not even bothered. So the Spanish did not need to formally enslave them or to look elsewhere for slaves. So now they have got a great resource. The place is West Africa, from where they can easily get people to work in their places. And they did not look in any other place to enslave or to bring human beings to work in their mines and plantations. In 1549, the Portuguese king set up a formal government. It was established and the capital was in Bahia or Salvador, the present Salvador. And from this time, the Jesuits started to go out to Brazil. They started traveling to the Brazil. Of course, they had all these freedom to travel to any place that they liked. The European settlers did not like the Jesuits. They argued for humane interaction with the natives. The Jesuits had a different kind of tradition and belief and culture, and they always argued with the settlers to treat the slaves with much more integrity and humaneness. But the European settlers did not like that, and they started talking with the natives in a very good way. They ventured into the forest to live in villages. They started interacting, and they taught the natives Christianity as a joyous religion. They said, you join Christianity, it is a joyous religion. And the Jesuits strongly criticized slavery. They did not like people being brutally and harshly treated. They said slavery is not good. But the European settlers, did they like the Jesuits? Because they were standing as an obstacle in their way of establishing this brutality. Conquest, colonies, and the slave trade. Now, what began as uncertain voyages, we saw that the Europeans were not quite sure of what was happening or how they had these voyages. But it had lasting consequences for the Europeans, the Americas and the Africa. This conquest, it means that this colonization was a never-ending process. It went on. It had lasting consequences. It did not stop. So from the 15th century, European maritime projects, that is all the projects on the sea, produced much knowledge on sea passage. They had so much of knowledge on oceans. They knew about the tide, they knew about the current, and they knew how to move from place to place. And most of the passages were unknown to the Europeans till now. But now, what happened is that they knew everything. And some were not even known to anybody, but now slowly as they gained the access, it was very easy for them to conquer and just move further. No ship had access to Caribbeans or the Americas. They did not have any trade with the Caribbeans or the Americas, which means that these places were left untouched. Nobody even knew about these places or they existed. The South Atlantic place was wholly unexplored. No sea-going ship had ever entered its waters, and much people started crossing it or sailed from it to the Pacific or the Indian Ocean, which means that even the oceans were untouched. So what happened in the 15th and early 16th centuries? All these feats were accomplished. People started establishing all these unknown routes. They started traveling and taking the routes which were not explored by anybody before. The South Atlantic Ocean and all these places were explored, and these feats were established. For Europeans, the discovery of the Americas had a lot of consequences. Besides the initial voyages, we can see that the Europeans saw these voyages as just a matter of expedition or time pass initially, just to see what is beyond the seas. But now they had other intentions. They just wanted to go, see, explore, and conquer. It is because of the availability of gold and silver which helped in further expansion of trade and industrialization. It is only because of the influx of gold and silver. Between 1560 and 1600, there was a load of ships, 100 ships each year carried silver from South American mines to Spain. So this was the only job of the ships, to go there, get the things that they mined from the mines. The natives will work hard to mine everything, mine all the metals and carry it to Spain and use it. It was not Spain and Portugal that benefited. Okay, let's see who benefited from all these things. They did not invest much in further trade, both Spanish and Portuguese people, or in building up a merchant navy. They were not interested in all that. They did not have the resources. They were not so rich. Instead, these countries benefited, bordering the Atlantic. Who were they? Particularly England, France, Belgium, Holland. They took advantage of the discoveries. They were very shrewd and they got all the things that they brought back. It was not the Spanish and the Portuguese people, because the Spanish and Portuguese peoples were only medium. They just went into the sea, they went there, they saw the place, they came back, reported. Of course, they had a share of the booty, as we call it, but most of the looting and most of the resources were shared amongst amongst these countries, England, France, Belgium and Holland. The merchants formed joint stock companies. They started investing and joint stock companies, and they sent out trading expeditions. They started having a shared account. They had a shared invest in conducting these expeditions every year or every month, and they introduced Europeans to the products. Because when these people came back, the Europeans were very curious, and Europeans also became a part of it, especially of the New World. And these products were tobacco, potatoes, cane sugar, cocoa and rubber. So they were so anxious when they got to know about all these things. The Europeans slowly started becoming familiar with new crops from America, especially potatoes and chilies, and they were taken by Europeans to other countries like India. Potatoes and chilies added so much of flavor, so they were really inspired by it. For the native people of the Americas, the immediate consequence was that the natives actually went down in their health, the physical decimation of local population, because nobody was bothered about the health of the natives. So they started dying. Either they died or they had so much of diseases and they were not in good health. If they were not in good health, do you think the Europeans gave them good treatment? No, they were still more brutally treated. The destruction of their way of life and their enslavement in mines, plantations and mills continued. These people did not stop with exploiting them, or they did not stop when their health deteriorated. They started making use of it. They started exploiting them more. There are a lot of estimates. Estimates were taken, especially in the pre-conquest Mexico. It had a population between 30 to 37.5 million, especially the Andean region, and a similar number while Central America had between 10 and 13 million. This was the population, the statistics which was taken in those days, but everything decreased. The natives on the eve of the arrival of the Europeans totaled 70 million. So when the Europeans came, it was 70 million. But after a century, what happened? It had reduced to 3.5 million. Look at the reduction. It is only because of ill health and the physical deterioration and degradation of the people. And warfare and disease was primarily responsible for all these things. They had so much of warfare, and disease was also there, which was responsible for all these things. There was a lot of destruction which took place in two major civilizations, as we saw earlier, that was of the Aztecs and the Incas. In America, it highlights the contrast between the two cultures in compact. These two cultures had so much of problems, they were not able to come up or combat with these explorers or with these brutal masters. The Aztecs and the Incas suffered greatly under the hands of the Europeans. The nature of warfare played a crucial role. They started terrorizing the local inhabitants. How? both psychologically and physically. So though it is done physically, they were affected both psychologically and also spiritually in every way. The contest this was a kind of competition. Okay, there was a lot of difference in values, there was a lot of difference in the values and all the cultural traditions that they had. The Spanish avarice, the Spanish greed for gold and silver was incomprehensible to the natives. Okay, it was just not comprehensible. They wanted more and more in spite of all these conditions that they faced. The enslavement of this population was a great reminder of the brutality of the encounter. We can understand how the Europeans can go, to what extent they can go. The enslavement was becoming a great problem, and slavery was not a new idea. Okay, the South American experience was actually new, but slavery was not a new idea to the Europeans. It accompanied the emerging capitalist system of production. With slavery, they became the terrorizing masters, and capital system also came into being. The working conditions were horrific. It was not at all favorable. But Spanish regarded the exploitation as essential to their economic gain. Okay, they regarded the exploitation and they just wanted economic gain, and they made it more terrible and they made it really difficult for these people. Who is this person? Now we have a small account of Domingo de Santo Tomas. The silver mines in Peru began to function in 1550s in Peru, and this particular person that you see on the screen, Domingo de Santo Tomas, reported to the Council of the Indies that Potosi was a mouth of hell. It swallowed Indians by the thousands every year. It was killing people because of the greedy mine owners. The greedy mine owners treated them very badly like stray animals, and they wrote. This particular person had some humanity in him, and he felt very bad by the way the Indians were treated. He started writing to the government and to the people saying that the condition is very bad here. So some good people also existed in those days. In 1601, Philip II of Spain banned forced labor. He said we will not have any more of forced labor, but he said that we will have arrangements. We will have a decree, a secret decree for its continuation. He said, you know what is the meaning? He's very shrewd. He said officially we will not have any forced labor, but we will contrive, we will have this plan in secrecy. Nobody will know about it. Of course we will have the slaves, because without the slaves the work will not happen. We will set a secret decree, a secret agreement where this will continue. And things came to a head with the law of 1609. It gave full freedom to the local people, Christian and non-Christian alike, to exploit the slaves. The European settlers were really enraged with this particular declaration because it gave full freedom to the local people. They were not forced to be a part of the labor. And within 2 years, they had forced the king to revoke this law and to permit enslavement once again. But actually the Philip II of Spain did not like this, and he said we will have a secret decree for its continuation. But when something is not official, they cannot have the forced labor. It was a ban. So all these people were angry, and they forced the king to permit enslavement again, put it back to action. And new economic activities or a new charter was actually framed. Cattle farming on lands cleared of forest was allowed. Mining after the discovery of gold in 1700, all these things took place. After what? After the permission, the second permission for enslavement, that is after taking off the ban on slavery. The demand for cheap labor continued. They were not paid at all. It was very clear that the local people would resist enslavement in future. They would start having uprisals and revolts. It's not that they did not have, but the Europeans were so strong to suppress these revolts. The alternative that they had, the only alternative that they had, was to turn to Africa. Between the 1550s and 1880s, slavery was completely abolished in Brazil. They did not give way to it. Brazil, the people were so strong, they said we cannot go further with it. And almost 3 lakh African slaves were imported into Brazil. So many people, so much millions of people were imported into Brazil, and they started almost millions, 3 millions, and trillions, and so many people were actually imported into Brazil, and they started suffering. And we have to see another chapter where the slaves were treated very badly in these places. You must have come across these chapters in your lower classes also, where all these slaves were treated very badly. Okay, almost 3 million, 4 million, 5 million people getting transported to these plantations was not at all a good sight.